Good morning. In the second and third grade class this morning, we had a young lady, her name's Gracie, asking really profound questions. Most of them centered around why. We were talking about how the Israelites, out of the judges, wanted a king to be like the rest of the nations. We had to explain the Israelites had a king leading them. That was God, but they were not satisfied with that conceptual image. They wanted a physical image of a king to look at, to be like the other nations. So Gracie kept asking, why? We started talking about the nature of God and how he is different from man, how a people could prefer a man to be their king. Do I need to step away from this one? Okay. How a people could prefer a man to be their king is beyond us, because they had God leading them. They had a king, and it was God. But we started talking about the characteristics of God and why he was better than man, and how he was the creator of man. And she kept asking, well, why was he the creator of man? And how is it he was the creator of, how is he not a man? How is he different? And we went into the supernatural, and then we got at the climax. The conclusion is our physical brains can't comprehend God. We can't explain with words and logic the why of God, because he was before all. He was before everything. The reason God exists can't put into words that answer. But he does exist, and he is good. He's the basis of good, and he's the basis of love, which is a concept that adults try to wrap their heads around, and sometimes that doesn't work. Reasons matter for why we do things. We approach this moment now, we call it the Lord's Supper, but we also call it starts with a C and ends with communion. The communion. We describe it as such because we are communing with who? Jesus. We're communing with the man who was God, the God-man, who with his body and his blood paved a route for us to get to heaven. We remember his sacrifice on the cross with the bread that we're about to eat. We remember his blood that trickled down off the cross with the fruit juice we're about to drink. You know, it's common for people to approach this moment and check a box in their worship service. At least in the churches of Christ. We keep the communion weekly. And when we approach this time, sometimes it's a part of the routine, and we go through it. And Monday comes, Tuesday comes, the rest of the week, and how often do we come back to the moment right here that starts our week, communing with Jesus? It would be ideal that this is what clouds our thoughts all the time. I started thinking about reasons in preparation for this talk. And a devotional that I've been working through brought to mind some really good points. And I want to read just a couple of words from this devotional. The Chosen is it's a television series that theatrically portrays stories of the New Testament. And this is a devotional book that uses the same authors and creators of that television series to make some daily applications for readers of the New Testament. But on day 23, this devotional writer comes to Luke chapter 17. I'm going to read chapter 17 in a moment, but there's some preface before we get to Luke 17. This writer says that Jesus was doing amazing things in Jerusalem, and the people there were in awe. They followed him around and listened while he preached, no doubt motivated by the things they were seeing. In other words, as long as the people were experiencing miracles, they were willing to stay and listen to him. But being in attendance, being in awe, being emotionally impacted, and even believing in the supernatural don't always result in a relationship with Jesus. Comes in Luke chapter 17. Starting in verse 11, if you want to follow along with me in your Bible. On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers, who stood at a distance and lifted up their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. And he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. Now he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus answered, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Where are the others? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" And he said to him, "Rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well." This is a moment in our worship service where physical elements are incorporated, but they hold a supernatural and very non-physical significance. This is a moment in our worship service to have a relationship in a very real way that all of our senses can interact with and participate in. That should mean something. If we come to this moment and we're not in it for the relationship with Jesus, then what are we doing it for? I would submit for the wrong reasons. We're doing this now because we want a relationship with Jesus. The title for the lesson here was, "Where are the others?" I ask now, where are you in your mind as we approach the bread and the fruit of the vine? Where are you? So we're about to thank our God for these emblems, and I pray that all of us in our mind are at the cross, wanting a relationship with the man hanging there for us. Thank you.